Okay, so we're going to take a look at how to set up circle images or an image displayed as a circle based on the text message example you gave. And I'm going to show you a couple techniques in achieving that result. And right now I'm on a copy of the home page, which is I've just named example page circle images. And I'm going to save this as a draft. This will not be visible to other people on the website. But for playing around or practice purposes, it is there in case you want to mess with it and try something here before you actually change the home page. Not trying to spook you off of making the changes on the home page, just giving another option. So in this setting, there's a couple different ways that we can work on things. And we can build on the front end. I believe that's where you were working before. Or we can do something similar and look at the desktop view. Either one of these will basically show us about the same thing with slightly different viewing options. So here's one option, and it shows some of our images, and we're trying to work on these. Now, when we're editing in this mode on our actual homepage, these are going to show up with circles because we have some code on the homepage that says take these specific images and turn them into circles. So here it is. Here is our home page over here. And a lot of this is done through the settings of Divi, but some of this is done through code. So on the actual home page, I'm going to turn on the visual builder here and show you where that code is. Okay, so here we're now editing on the home page, and here they do look like circles, but they don't on our copied page. So right here, we have this area where we can save our work, and there are some other buttons in here too, including the ability to roll back or undo or just delete the whole page, lots of things. But we want to click on this little purple icon with the gear, and I'm going to go to advanced, and we're going to grab, and this is important because it's the only special code on this page, this thing that says blurb circle. The code says IMG, that's for images, and it says give it a border radius of 50%. So we're going to grab that and go into our new test page. And here in this visual editor, kind of giving two examples of how to get to the same place in the settings. We're going to click the icon here. It shows up in that upper right-hand corner. I'm going to click Advanced and add this to the CSS Custom Style settings for this page, and this only shows up on this particular page. Now, I'm also going to make this site-wide just in case you ever want to use circles elsewhere and want to skip this step. That's another thing. But for now, I'm going to save this draft. Again, I'm not publishing. I'm not taking this live. I don't want the whole world to see what we're doing with this. And it goes through a page refresh because we're working in a browser. And now, fingers crossed for a live example, as we scroll down, we see that our images have these circles. Now, let's say we want to replace an image, and from your text message, I saw that there was a new image in here. So we come into where we have our image loaded. Notice this image is a square. And let's see, I believe from the text message, we were looking at this image. And this particular image, I can tell by the dimensions, is not a square. It's 1080 pixels by 810 pixels. So it's more of a rectangle. So I'm going to add that in. And you'll notice what we get here is more of an oval. It's because we're working with a source image that is not square itself. And so the code basically says take the corners of the square and round them by 50%. Round them here and round them there. And it's doing the same thing for the rectangle, but the rectangle is wider. It's a wider rectangle than it is tall. And so when it rounds those corners by 50%, it creates an oval from here to here because it's not squared off. So if we want to change that image, we need to change the dimensions of the actual image. So let's see if I can demonstrate how I would go about such a thing. I'm going to come back in here and I need to get a local copy on my computer, download copy of the image. So I'm going to go into the media library and see if I can find that image again. I believe this is it. And so here is the image. And we don't have the option to change dimensions here in WordPress. But I can come in here and select the link for this image. I'm going to open up a new tab and paste that link that I copied into that link, and it'll display the full big thing. And it's square-ish. It's apparently just not all the way square. So I'm going to right-click or double-tap, depending on how your device works, and I'm going to save this to my downloads. And there's lots of different tools for this, so I'm not going to recommend a tool because there's an infinite number of them. I use a tool that's pretty easy called Snagit. I'm very happy with that particular tool. I've been using it for a bunch of years. It's easy for me. I'd recommend you use whatever image editor is easy for you, and all I need to do is open the image, and I can see the dimensions down here this image is wider than it is tall, and so I need to crop it to make sure that the width ends up being the same as the height. I don't want to distort the image, so in this system I'm going to take a little in, and I'm just kind of eyeballing it really, trying to get the kids right in the center is sort of my goal. And as I drag this in, I can see the dimensions getting closer, closer. Oop, went too far. To 810 by 810. And again, I'm eyeballing it. There are other ways where you might pick a center or something like that and use an even more advanced tool. So I've gotten the image almost resized. I need to now crop out that extra background. And in this particular tool, I'm going to crop it to the canvas, and then I'm going to resave. Kids. Make sure I save that to my downloads. Okay. And then come back over into our website, close that tab. We don't need it anymore. And I'm going to add new media. I used a different file name on purpose. Something with good keywords. I don't recommend abbreviations on words that matter when we're loading images into the site. Use the words that do matter. Use the words that people might include in a Google search or some other type of search. That can be important. So coming back over here, now I'm back in my, I believe I'm back in my draft area. Yes, I am. So I'm going to save the draft again. Mostly I'm doing this to get a page refresh because I want to make sure that this page is reconnected to the current options on the site. And it's an extra step in waiting for things to load up and stuff, but it is important in this case because there's new assets in the media library. And so I'm going to come in here, going to click on my desktop view again, scroll down to the images, and go to our image and icon setting, click on the gearbox, and pick that new square image. And while I'm in here, I'm going to copy paste that title that came from the file name into both of these sections. The alternate text, this is where anybody that's using a listening device will hear the words spoken to them, and one of the reasons why it's good not to use abbreviations. Everything else is something that Googlebot will potentially read. And now we've got this image that is a circle. Alternatively, if you wanted to make the other images oval, we would need source images that were rectangular in shape, if that makes sense. At a high level, I'd recommend using images of the same dimensions if you want them to all look similar. There's probably a good use case for making one or two of these maybe stand out in different ways and or mixing it up. These are all options. There is no right way or wrong way. Kind of depends on taste, and even more so, even more than taste, sometimes it depends on what works for your website. Sometimes we need to make changes that capture people's attention, and that doesn't always mean doing things perfectly. Sometimes it helps to have something stand out on purpose. So that's the way it works, and I made those changes on our example page. You could recreate those on the home page if you like at any time.